In this lesson, we're moving on to our third etude, spring. And here the mood is going to lighten up a little bit, and we're also going to be tackling a new fingerstyle challenge called pedal bass. And this is when our thumb and fingers are going to alternate a little bit more. First, this piece also uses an altered tuning. An altered tuning refers to a change in the standard tuning that a guitar is set to. Normally, a guitar is tuned E, A, D, G, B, E. This piece is going to use something called drop D tuning, which you might have heard of, but you might not have, so I'm going to cover it now. In drop D tuning, the low E string is tuned down to D. And you can hear that this gives us two D strings now. This expands the range of the guitar and makes it a little bit easier to play in certain keys. It's very common in fingerstyle music and in other styles as well. Take a moment now to get yourself tuned to drop D tuning. You can use a tuner, that's just what I recommend. It should sound in tune with the fourth string. Now that you've gotten tuned to drop D tuning, we're going to take a look at our warm-up for this piece. The pattern that we're going to be using is a right-hand pattern of thumb, index, thumb, middle. Let's practice this on strings 6, 4, and 3. Just for the sake of the exercise, let's put our middle finger on the 2nd fret on the G string. So those are our 3 notes. Now we're going to practice alternating thumb, index, thumb, middle. Let's see if we can try this at 80 beats per minute. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, ready, go. As you're practicing this warm-up, try to pay attention to keeping the rhythms even between the thumb and the fingers. Additionally, keep the volume even as well. We don't want certain notes to be very loud and others to be quiet. Try to pay attention to making the volume even throughout the piece. Use the looping function to practice this warm-up until you feel quite comfortable with this technique, as that's what we'll be focusing on as we turn our attention to the full spring etude. Good luck and see you there. We're going to start looking at the third etude, spring. And this one is featuring a pedal bass technique that we practiced in the warm-up. Here we're going to look at the full song, and it's going to start off with a passage that is very similar to the warm-up, but will expand with different chords and different left-hand figurations. The passage begins by playing with our middle finger on the 2nd fret on the 3rd string, like so. We'll then lift up to play the open G string, and then put the finger back down and play that twice. So the first chord sounds like this. We're then going to add our index finger on the 2nd fret on the 5th string, and our thumb, critically, now has to switch to playing the 5th string. Our other 2 fingers are going to stay on the other strings and play something very similar to what they just played. So together this sounds like this. Let's try this at 80 beats per minute. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, ready, go. we have a few different chord changes coming up. After this chord, we're going to use our pinky to play 4th fret on the 6th string. Then we're going to slide our pinky up to play the 5th fret. We're going to use our 2nd finger. You could also use your 3rd finger, but I recommend using your 2nd finger. It's probably going to be an easier stretch to play the 4th fret on the D string. Then you lift it up to play the open string, and then return your 1st finger back to the 2nd fret on the G string. So altogether, this passage sounds like this. That's a lot of moving around, so we're going to try this one quite slow at 60 beats per minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, ready, go. After that section, the passage returns to the 1st chord, which looks like this. Altogether, the A section should sound something like this. Notice that as I loop back to the repeat of the 1st section, my 1st finger has been playing this note to accommodate this stretch. I actually need to shift over to playing it with my middle finger as I repeat the section. So that's one little challenge to look out for. We're now going to try the whole A section repeated, and we're going to do so at 80 beats per minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, ready, go. And that's the first section of the Spring Etude. Good luck practicing, and I'll see you in the second half in the next lesson. In this lesson, we're going to be looking at the second half of the Spring Etude. In the first half, we talked about using a pedal bass line to create an interesting texture. Here, we're going to expand on that texture and we'll see that this will create a more melodic sound. So this is what the second part is going to sound like. That's the first section of the second part. So let's talk about this section. We're going to be playing a melody now with our fingers. Our bass is still going to be held down by the thumb, and we're going to alternate thumb, melody, thumb, melody. But the melody fingers will change as we move across the strings. So let's see if we can play through this part using only the fingers. We're going to hold off on playing the pedal bass for now, just so that we can get used to the left hand and fingers together. Let's try this at 80 beats per minute. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, ready, go. You can use the looping function to practice that until you feel comfortable with it. Now let's try to add in the thumb. We're going to do this again at 80 beats per minute. Here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, ready, go. Something that's important to keep in mind as you're practicing this is ensuring that the melody notes ring out. We want to make sure that those don't get muted as we're changing. Try to hold down the fingers until you've played the next melody note. The second section continues with a similar texture but with changing bass notes. The next chord is going to be our first finger on the second fret on the A string, and the melody is going to be similar. We're going to continue to use these 3 fingers on strings 1, 2, and 3, like so. And now we're back to the first section. Let's see if we can play through these changes together, paying attention to making sure that the left hand fingers stay down and that we're using the correct right hand finger for each string. We'll try this at 80 beats per minute. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, ready, go. Feel free to use the looping function to practice that section as many times as you need to. Now, we're going to try to play the entire piece all the way through. It's going to start off with the A section, which we practiced in the previous lesson, following through the second section, and eventually making its way back to the first section again. Let's see if we can play the piece all the way through at 80 beats per minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, ready, go. And that's the full Spring Etude. In the next lesson, we'll be covering a Travis style pattern, and we'll be learning an etude to accompany that style. See you there.